Okay, martial arts is another thing that helps improve executive control. For example, Taekwondo has been shown to improve executive control and also academic performance. I want to end by talking about two extraordinary programs. One is Venezuela's National System of Youth and Children Orchestras. It's known as El Sistema. It's the brainchild of a Venezuelan economist who also happened to be a conductor and composer, Jose Antonio Abreu, who envisioned classical music training as a social intervention that could transform the lives of poor children. The other program is the National Dance Institute, NDI, in New York City. It was founded by the remarkable, irrepressible Jacques d'Amboise, a famous ballet dancer and recipient of many honors, including the National Medal of Honor. Jacques came from a poor family, dropped out of school, and was headed for trouble. He happened to walk his sister to dance class one day, and it changed his life. So he founded NDI to help other troubled youths through dance. Both programs were started in the mid-1970s, and both have reached hundreds of thousands of children, especially poor children. The Venezuelan program has been so successful that it has spread to 26 other countries in South America and Central America. Both programs serve all children. The orchestra even serves children who are deaf, and the dance program even serves children in wheelchairs. And both are provided completely free, so even poor children can participate. Both programs require the children to work hard. They have to exercise discipline and persistence and practice. They hold the children to very high standards. They challenge the children. They're cognitively demanding. You have to hold information in mind. You have to remember sequences. You have to pay careful attention. Both involve physical activity. Even to play an instrument requires visual motor coordination. Both give the children a wonderful sense of self-confidence and pride. And you'll see in the video the joy on the children's faces. And both provide social support and social belonging. This is not individual performance. The children perform as part of a group. The children help one another, listen to one another, and respect one another. Each is an important part of the whole. So both of these programs address our intellect, our physical motor, our social being, and our emotions. And all of those are an important part of who we are. And it's important to address each of those, not just one or the other. In the West, we too often focus just on the intellect. It's not good. Okay, so this is a video. First, it's El Sistema. Then it's National Dance Institute. El Sistema is in Venezuela, so the people speak in Spanish. Don't worry about catching every word. It's not that important. Oh, we need sound. One second.
Nosotros, a pesar que vivimos en un barrio humilde, que hay inseguridad, nosotros a pesar no han dado educación. Hay muchas personas que dicen, él vive en un barrio y no le han dado educación.
Era el primer día de la orquesta de cámara, entonces yo venía temprano y me dieron un disparo en la pierna y no pude ir. Entonces yo llorando porque no me dolía la pierna, pero más me dolía que no iba a estar aquí el día ese en la orquesta de cámara. Y se le olvida, cuando uno llega aquí se le olvida todo.
El profesor nos dice, toquen pero con su corazón, no con la mente, con el corazón.
Venezuela. Nosotros estamos en este momento trabajando para un universo de beneficiarios que se calcula en 265.000 jóvenes, pero esto es apenas el comienzo.
Nosotros estamos aprendiendo a tocar trompeta como para sacar nuestra familia adelante. Estamos para adelante como el elefante.
I started National Dance Institute because I had no other choice in my life. And I wanted children to have the joy that came to me in my life from learning in the arts and being a child.
The basis of the NDI teaching is setting high standards for children. NDI teachers just don't accept mediocrity.
I want to see who gets their knees the highest. I go first. I go one.
We set the bar really high, and you know what? Children come to that place. I mean, you go in there with those expectations, and they rise to them.
Like a lot of steps, they seem really hard, but if you really learn them, they're very, very easy. And you're like, wow, I thought it was so much more difficult, but it's really not.
We don't ask them to do any more than they're capable of, but we challenge them so far beyond what they ever thought they were capable of.
You'll see a transformation when you go watch an NDI class. When you are young and you do something positive, you've achieved something. That sticks with you all your life.
Take his arms and show him his arms.
The children learn to help each other. They learn to understand that each one of them is an important element to the success of the whole team.
As a kid, it's like if you're in class and you feel like you're not succeeding in class, NDI was the one place where if you didn't get the step, you didn't quit. You had everyone supporting you and encouraging you, and you got it.
It's all right, it's okay, because the smile in the face, bravo.
I shudder to think what I might be doing if NDI hadn't come along when they did. NDI made me feel special, because no one else did. They took a chance on a kid they didn't even know.
We hear all the time that kids gain a kind of confidence that they're able to do so much more in their lives than they had ever expected.
The focus of the NDI program is the in-school program. It's a program that happens during the school day to underscore our belief that the arts should be part of every child's education. So the NDI class partners with schools, and we provide the program for an entire grade level. It's not an audition program. Every child participates, and if they commit, they are guaranteed success.
It's not an easy program. The movement itself is very challenging, and they're constantly changing directions, changing counts. People are doing things at different times. That's a big concept for kids at this age.
It's a lot easier to focus, because when you learn to focus on something that's fun, sometimes, if you want to, you can learn to focus on something that's not so fun.
NDI is like that one little spark you come across one time and never find again. If you want it, you need to grab hold and hold on tight, because NDI will take you places.
Okay, thank you. Let me see if I can go on. I'm at the end. I just have two questions. Would any of these practices or activities, tools of the mind, dance, or any of the others, be appropriate in Tibetan schools? What practices or activities are used with Tibetan children to improve their attention and executive control? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adele.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adele. I think we should use this opportunity to start our discussion with these questions. And so we should maybe make a 15 minutes tea break.
No.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And come back.
No,
Your Holiness, I have something. Programs I talked about, like tools of the mind, with the children being the reader and the listener, or the dance program, or the orchestras, any of those would be appropriate for Tibetan children. And if there are other ways that people use with young Tibetan children to help improve their attention and executive control, what can we learn from how your colleagues help children improve their executive control?
I think answer answer I think very simple. We Tibetan also human being. No differences. Same blood. I think same brain. So certainly we need this new technique. Very good. Wonderful. That's very good.
So, of course, we have many Tibetan schools, such as the Tibetan Children's Village there, which has many different levels of grades. So, I think
in all settlement, the kindergarten, very young children there. So, of course, we are a refugee community, small number. Of course, this is not a political statement. Of course, the reality is the remaining 6 million Tibetan inside Tibet, no freedom. The education system is just indoctrination. So only about 100,000, 150,000 Tibetan in a free country have the opportunity to study properly, right? And small number, which actually, I think, we are working. Our very existence is something like on behalf of remaining 6 million Tibetan. So small number here, training, education, properly because of grown,
bringing up
is at most important.
What?
So His Holiness is wondering what would be the logistics and the practical steps to explore if something like this could be introduced to the Tibetan children. And of course, the need and importance seems to be very evident.
The two women who developed the program I studied could come and show teachers how to do it. It's not a program that you can learn just from reading from a manual. You need to get personal instruction and feedback on what you do.
Right. Very important, yes.
But I also feel that no one program has all the right answers. So it doesn't mean that replicating exactly tools of the mind is best. A little bit of tools of the mind and maybe a little bit from other approaches could also be very beneficial, because many people have a little bit of knowledge and good ideas. And if you can bring them together, then you can benefit much. But I wonder what your schools do now to help children get better control of their attention. What do you do with 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds?
I don't know. I myself see bringing not that way. I grown up or study under my tutors was a Kasa whip.
Yeah, with the supervision with the whip.
Is that executive control?
Unfortunately, I think our scholars, I think the genuine practitioner, of course, they are the way bringing up is very strict. Not this kind of thing, but somehow many of them, their mind, very sharp. Of course, most important, I think sharpness of mind, warm-heartedness. I think as a result, I think immense benefit. That much I can say, according to my own experience. And then also is it learning by heart.
Memorization is an important part.
It's very excellent training for executive control and memory. Also, storytelling is a wonderful way to help children develop executive control because they have to pay careful attention and they have to hold the information in mind and relate what you're saying now to what you said earlier. Storytelling is wonderful for developing executive control.
How does storytelling differ from just watching TV?
Developmental,
because obviously we have, particularly in the West, we have a culture which is based education through TV.
Yes.
So could you explore on that?
Two important ways. One is storytelling differs even from picture books or video because you don't have the visual support. You don't have the ear and the mouth to see. So you have to hold things in mind more. So without the visual aid, you're already advancing executive control development. But computers and videos usually assume you have very short attention span. So they keep changing what's there to pull you in because they assume you will wander. So they don't help you develop sustained attention because they assume you don't have it. And also, it's an isolated activity. You do it by yourself.
executive control television program
Also, you do these things by yourself. You work on the computer alone. And that isn't as powerful for developing executive control as social situations. There was a study in Russia that looked at 5-year-olds a little while ago and looked at 5-year-olds 30 years ago. And they found that 5-year-olds 30 years ago were 2 years advanced in executive control compared to 5-year-olds now. And I think that part of that has to do with now we are doing things more individually and on the computer. Before, we used to play with our friends. You get home from school, you play sports outside. You make up games together. You're doing things socially. I think that that is important for developing executive control.
David, a short question or statement?
Comment and question. So, as you may know, Your Holiness, the Mind and Life Institute is preparing to have a meeting in Washington, D.C. on education and the mind in October. And as part of preparing for this, there has been much discussion by the Mind and Life Education Research Network about kinds of training that have been used previously in Tibetan Buddhist monasteries. And in particular, at one of our meetings, there was considerable discussion about the role of debate training. And on the basis of what Adele has said, it sounds like the Tibetan Buddhists, at least for adolescents, have evolved the very best possible kind of training program for increasing executive control, because it sounds to me like debate training, if I understand it, does all and everything that Adele has suggested would be good for training the mind in executive control. Perhaps you could comment on this further?
but chibuji the precise shadadi ko chamo chop sa shay ni zane ko nasa jik samne na ya so so sam ta bi ne ta mil chamo ju zebe ke haso zebe digi so so sam ta ni zane oh the din gu din oh the din di khalina sabadi chaya de paji dog shu.
So with the debate training, one thing that seems to be very significant in the development through debate is the ability to think fast and also make the connections very fast, because you often use the language of entailment. If A, then B, therefore if B, then A, and so on. So you learn to see the connections very fast, and so that way you are able to think very fast as well. So that seems to be an important element that is developed in the debate.
So in 6 days, when our school established, modern
curriculum,
school established, we start the debate technique introduced in our school.
Ordinary schools. Ordinary schools.
Traditionally, only some monastic institution usually carried that technique. Usually not, of course, no layperson.
No layperson studies it. Yeah.
And also nuns usually is not. So in early 60s, firstly we introduced that in our school, boys and girls, no differences. Then also later, most of our nunnery now introduced is in that technique. So very, very helpful. So to
sharpen the mind.
To sharpen the mind.
So, in fact, His Holiness recently made the suggestion in another context that given the kind of the benefits of this debate approach in scholarship, he has made the suggestion that maybe the Tibetans should be able to learn it so that it can be applied in completely non-Buddhist subjects, like law or study of biology or whatever. So it could be developed to a point where it can be applied independent of the content, which is at the moment the Buddhist, Buddhist field.
So sometimes I joke, half serious. Particularly those students who study law, eventually become lawyer, may be good.
Through debate.
This debate. In order to defeat other one.
So they'll be able to really press on the fine-tuning of the meaning of what is being said. In fact, the elementary stage of debate training is known as Dura, collected topics. And so there is a saying that if the debater can disprove what is being said to be the case and prove what is being rejected by the opponent, then that's the mark that he or she has mastered the technique.
Modern education
So this is something that may have a beneficial application in the modern education context as well.
Since I think at least in a few decades, I had sort of a view, and many of my friends agree, modern education system not adequate to pay attention about ethics or the inner sort of
qualities.
Inner quality. And now there are, I think, two different views. One view, moral ethics must be based on religious faith. It is true, in some extent, true. All major religious traditions, you see, their basic message is moral ethics. Love, compassion, forgiveness, tolerance, these things. Self-discipline, like that. But the other hand, another sort of view, there can be different levels of ethics. On broader level, or I think the
fundamental level.
Fundamental level, You see, naturally, there are sort of universal sort of value. Now, for example, affection. Respect each other and consider other as a human brother, sister. That is just, you see, the concept of we extend entire 6 billion human beings. Not emphasis we and they, and we with a small circle. Then finally oneself. Then all these troubles. So our sort of attitude, because of the whole world, whole 6 billion human beings, whole planet, is part of we. I have to take care. If something goes wrong, other side, I will lose. I will suffer. So that, nothing to do with religion. This is reality, isn't it? We are a social animal. I think you mentioned, I think those children, mixing with more children, their mind more happier and something, then through that way, self-confidence, these things happen. So the lonely, isolated, then more fear, more doubt, like that, isn't it?
Yes.
So now here, I usually call, and many Indian fully sort of agree, secular way, nothing to do with religion. But some my friend, some Muslim, also some Christian, or one time in Germany, I think many years ago, I think more than 10, 15 years ago, I just talked, I was referred with this problem, and he mentioned moral ethics must be based on religion, religious faith. Then very difficult in public sort of education, right?
Yes.
How? Because very difficult to bring in curriculum. Yes, moral ethics must be based on religion. Then more complication. What religion?
Which religion?
Theistic religion, non-theistic religion. Theistic religion, still again, Christianity, Judaism, or Islam, like that. Difficult. And particularly like India, impossible. Multi-religious sort of nation, impossible. So we now, I think now you mean boring.
No, very, very interesting. Please, no, absolutely not. It's central.
I always telling these people or expressing people in reality, I think now generally say about 1,000 million Muslim, 1,000 million Christian, 600 or 700 Hindus, isn't it? And Buddhists maybe few hundred, 200 or 200 millions. 400. Now here you see we must include the Chinese Buddhist brothers, sisters. Oh, right.
No practice.
But if you examine seriously these 1,000 Christian, 1,000 million Christian and Muslim and the Hindus and Buddhists, when they are happy, yes, claim, I'm Buddhist, I'm Christian, okay. When things become difficult, I don't think much seriousness about religion. Always say God, God. But we pay more attention about money. The other day, dollar, more important than God.
Yes.
Very clear. What a portion.
That was ants.
So that's the reality. We Buddhist monk also, we always talk contentment. But oneself need more money, more dollar. So we are not very serious. So, as a Buddhist, we always say the destructiveness of our destructive emotions. While we are saying that, But we ourselves still slave of these destructive emotions. So therefore, in reality, majority of 6 billion human beings, I don't think really seriously
minded believers. No?
So naturally, these are majority. So some ethics should include these non-believer. So naturally, secular ethics. Secular ethics, even to some extent, some animals, particularly social animals, and also those, I think, practically every animal which their life begin with mother, whether through egg or from
womb.
From womb. You see, their survival entirely depend on others' care. In order to maximum care, there must be some energy. Bring by will. That will come from affection. Whether you call love or affection, without that, mother will not pay much attention about caring. So therefore, biologically, these things equipped biologically. Right? So that is seed of compassion. So these animals, no religion, no constitution, no police force, but by biological factor, they take maximum care about their young one. So that's nature. Nature. So that also, you see, in our case, that's the seed of our compassion. So naturally, now that, nothing to do with religion. So now that take as a seed. And then, with awareness of usefulness of that, now like
science,
those scientists, and particularly medical scientists, so now they clearly realize the more compassionate person, their mind more calm. As a result, health better. Even a lot of disturbances in deep down, still you can keep calm mind. So therefore, so through that way, usually I describe using our common sense and common experience, and then latest scientific finding. On these basis, we can develop new curriculum about moral ethics, which can
brought into.
Then can be in modern school, from kindergarten, we can introduce. Nothing to do with religion. So that's my view. So many occasions in England or in America, in many places, in Japan, I express these things. So, of course, the people, all audience, seems to agree. But now we need someone who actually carrying
the initiative,
study, research. I have not that ability. I just express. I think I can say on behalf of those weak people who really suffer out of affection, lack of affection, exploitation, politically, militarily, or economically. All these problems ultimately related with here. Problem not come from gun user, isn't it? Ultimately here. But nobody pay serious attention about that.
That's right.
We take for granted anger, hatred, these are, we take for granted, this is part of our nature. So sometimes we deliberately, because of the increase in these negative emotions.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm hopefully our next meeting in Washington, those experts, you going to participate? Or planning. So I'm hoping, you see, the scientist, respected scientist, well-known scientist, you have the authority. I'm just simple Buddhist monk. And of course, frankly speaking, I have no sort of no knowledge.
Expertise.
Expertise.
Authority.
So those experts, educationists, and also scientists, and health scientists, or the social scientists, come and work to and some kind of concrete plan, proposal. Then maybe some individual state, can implement. Then eventually some quite sort of as your sort of the experiment, you see, even that because Venezuela and the
Neo dance.
They like that.
Yes.
You see, someone implement that.
That's right.
Then eventually, you see, people recognize or acknowledge some positive result. Then eventually may possible to bring notice at UN or some other sort of world body. Yeah? When you see, the Chinese education system become like that, then I think we Tibetans get real liberation. Still hatred, suspicion, distrust, hatred remain there. We will suffer.
The Venezuelan...
Fortunately, there are already now some good Chinese really showing genuine because of the feeling of concern and solidarity already happening. So that's positive sign. Like that, I don't know now.
The Venezuelan program, which has reached over 500,000 children, started with 11 children in the man's garage. And from that, it grew. So things can start very small, but still get big.
The president Casa.
Hugo Chavez.
Congo got him marba.
Yeah. Venezuela.
And the program di. And the president got him marba.
So His Holiness was asking, this program was not initiated by Hugo Chavez, is it?
No.
I think he should take as a credit survey.
He could take
as the president of Venezuela.
He deserves credit for putting a lot of government money into it. He's put huge resources into it and really supported it.
Very good.
I wanted to come back to a point you said, which was that we accept that negative emotions are natural, and which is a bad idea. And in the video, they said that we hold the children to high standards and they rise to them. And I think that if we say that negative emotions are not natural and you should be able to overcome them, then if you have that as the expectation, people will rise to them. Many teachers of young children assume they can't exercise executive control. They give up. And so the children don't get better because the teachers don't think that they can do it. So what you were saying is if you have a low expectation and you assume that negative emotions will be there, it doesn't lead to the best result. You need to have the high expectation that they don't have to be there.